Hello and welcome to another video. In this one we are going to see setting up Active Directory pen testing lab. There is a really nice repository on GitHub. It's called GOAD, Game of Active Directory. When you go to this repository, you can see this is the link right here. Over here, this is where you need to go, and you can see there is GOAD. So there are really nice steps given. The documentation is pretty good. Ultimately what you end up getting is a lab something like this. So this is how your lab will be, which has two forests. You can see there is one forest over here which is 7kingdoms.local, and the second forest is esos.local. In the 7 kingdoms you have two domains. This is first domain 7kingdoms.local, and the second one is north.7kingdoms.local. So there is a trust relationship between these two, and then there is a trust relationship between these two. So we can also try out attacks on the trusts and on different domains as well as different forests. It's a pretty complete lab. You have 3 domain controllers in all. You can see this is the one. I think this is the root domain controller. There is a second one over here, DC02, and then there is DC03. So there are 3 domain controllers in all. In addition, there are 2 servers. So you can see SRV02, this is one server, and then there is this one SRV03, that is the second server. And you also have Microsoft SQL Server installed on it, so a lot of attacks pertaining to that SPN can also be tried out. So if you have less resources, let's say you have less RAM in your host machine, you can also go for a smaller version of this lab, which is GOAD Lite, in which you would end up creating only one forest. So you can see this blue dotted line here. You would be creating only that one. Then there is another lab which you have GOAD Mini, in which you would be creating this green dotted line, only that much. If you go for the full one, this is the entire GOAD lab that you will end up creating. So it's pretty good. Few options available for you. Now the documentation is good, but I found that the default steps for installing, they did not work, at least for me. So let me show you what I mean. Here if you see, let me go to the okay, so if I go to the repository GOAD and you come down, so there is a documentation link. You can read through all this as well. It will create the lab and then how it will be how the topology looks like and things like that. So another good thing about it is that you have various different providers. There is Azure, there is also VMware, there is VirtualBox. You can create it in AWS as well. So there are pretty good options available where you want to create the labs. Now if you go to the documentation, this is where it says how to install. So depending upon which OS do you have for the host system, so that's also another good thing. You can do it on Linux as well as Windows. You in any of these two, then you have again options whether you want to use VirtualBox or VMware or Proxmox or Azure, AWS, Ludus. So various different options. And the thing over here is this particular one. So initially I thought that these are special instructions for Ubuntu 22.04. So just by running this script it will work out of the box. Don't have to do much, but that didn't really happen for me. So if you are using this script, which is like one stop place for setting up the lab, which is pretty good. However, the problem is the default repository of Ubuntu 22 is that has the VirtualBox version, which is pretty old. I think it was 6.1 when I had tried. So when you create the lab, this is how it looks like. It creates this 3 domain controllers and then these 2 servers. This is your entire lab, and while creating it will ask you for the IP range. You can see basically it creates a network with the host only adapter. In my case it is VBox Net 0, and in my case I'm using VirtualBox. You might want to use anything else as you like. I'm using VirtualBox here, and the range for this one is 192.168.56 network. So all of them are getting the IPs in that network. Now all I had to do was I just created a Kali Linux separately, and I also added it to my host only adapter, which was this one, and then I gave some static IP to it, which is 56.199. Okay, so speaking of the steps to install, there was a separate installation section given for Ubuntu 22.04. So I thought there is some special treatment over there, and I just ran this script, but unfortunately it didn't work for me. And the reason for that is the default repository of Ubuntu installs the VirtualBox, which is 6.1 version, and probably something is not working out well over there. So what I would suggest is if you are running this script, which is a really nice script, it's one-stop place for doing everything that is required to run the setup. So don't do the installation of VirtualBox in this way. What I would suggest is go for virtualbox.org, and then again the latest version of VirtualBox was not so friendly with me. So what I did was I went to the previous versions. Here it is, previous releases, you can see here, and go to the older ones, and then I went to 7.0, and then I went to 7.0.20, which is right here. So scrolling here. So 7.0.20, this is the version that I installed, and it worked pretty well. So since we are using Ubuntu 22.04, you can click on this and then download the VirtualBox, and also download the extension pack. And then once you install VirtualBox, simply double click on this guy, and then it will be added to your VirtualBox. Ensure that you are checking the MD5 checksums or SHA-256, whichever you want to check, so that you know the bits are genuine. Also, I didn't try for the latest Ubuntu. Maybe it might work even for that. The reason I did not really try was because that script was saying Ubuntu 22. I thought it's tested on this version, so why not go for that and save some time. So, but I might as well gone for this and then gone for the same VirtualBox. So what I have done is my host machine, I have just taken an old machine that was with me and then installed Ubuntu 22.04 on that, and then I installed VirtualBox 7.0.20 and then extension pack for it, and that's how I started with that first step. So that was the step covered. After then, these are the scripts that you need to run. So simply take those and copy paste. You're good to go. This one, just copy paste, you're good to go. This one is also fine. If you have 3.11, then just mention that, the Python version. Other than that, it's simply you just copy and paste and then run those scripts. It takes a few hours. It took me 3 hours or so to get the lab up and running. Depends upon your internet speed, I suppose, but once it is done, it will show you the nice output and the report, how did it go. And it uses Ansible, so you can see each Ansible task running once it finishes its download. So it will configure the lab, make it a little vulnerable so that you can try out different attacks. I personally find this lab pretty good, so I'm thinking I'll just post here videos of a few lessons on Active Directory, and I hope you'll find those useful. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.